just worked for that company until I got to a place, and I think what changed that trajectory was I realized that they're not cooking the food that I was excited about anymore. I wanted to stand for something, because at this point is when I'm starting to figure out like what kind of chef I wanted to be. And I just realized that was not what I wanted to do. So I went back to New York and opened up a spot called Brayburn in the West Village. With a friend of mine. He had worked at Boulay, super nice guy, and worked with him. We opened this restaurant, get it going, fantastic space, and then my kid's mom called and told me that she was pregnant. And she's living in Tucson. So I got to move back to Tucson now.
Did you even like Tucson when you were there?
It was okay.
I mean, okay, gotcha.
It was okay.
It's a little bit of a
have
city.
Some people from Tucson listening to this. You need to relax.
Oh, it's
bro.
fine, baby. Bring the smoke. It's all good, bro. I was out there. I'm like, yo, there's no palm trees out here. What is this, bro? You know?
Nah, man. But yeah. So I went back to Tucson because I wanted to be, the best father I could possibly be.
Gotcha.
And I wasn't going to be a father that was, over the phone. So got back and worked on that relationship to get it tight. The kids came, and that's when I started working for, at the time, Market Restaurant Group. Where that's where I met Kevin.
Okay.
And I went in there as the corporate pastry chef. We were looking over 4 concepts. And different, we had Italian, we had like a farm to table, and we had a grill. 2 Italians, farm to table, and a grill. And so I was there, and that's where we kind of just kept things going, and I ended up working for that organization for about 5 years.
Amazing. And through that, you guys forged a relationship.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll flip it over here. Chef Kevin Fink, how are you?
Good.
I had that great debate in the beginning. I'm fired up. We're at the restaurant. This restaurant's fucking sick. Like, how many covers in here?
We do about 250 right now, but we'll do more once we get a little bit more like efficient in where that feels. I mean, we kind of hold the governor on a little bit to make sure that it's nice.
I like the governor. I like that. Yeah, you need a governor. Sometimes I do agree with you. I used to work at this, high volume place, and if you just like trim 50 people off of it, we got this.
Yeah.
But it's those last 50 that's like the team's exhausted. There's no more tables. We've asked people to come over here. We're giving away drinks. It's like, what are we doing, guys? Let's just slow it down a little bit, So, where were you born, Chef?
I was born in Concord, Massachusetts.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
Northeast, what up?
I love it.
I moved to Meriden, Connecticut at a young age.
Yeah,
from
I've
Puerto
got a
Rico.
bunch of friends and family that still live in Connecticut.
Oh, dope.
Like that.
Yeah. Whereabouts?
I mean, Old Saybrook, like West Hartford, which is where all my family's from and everything like that.
It's a beautiful area, and
it's
there's very diverse. There's a lot of Jamaican, Haitian food over there, so it's if people go to Connecticut and start eating, because I just did an interview with a chef in New York, a place called Hera, and it's a pop-up at the Market Line. And this dude, crazy enough, cooked me a piece of meat like a year before that, and I took a picture of him. And like I had it in my phone, and I'm like, "Is this you?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's me. I was cooking there." I was like, "Yeah, it's a small world." And now he's running that pop up out of there. And if you guys are in New York, check out the Market Line.
We're going to New York next week.
Yeah,
2 weeks from now. Yeah.
The Market Line, best damn cookies, Hera NYC pop up. I think the dudes from, I'm forgetting the restaurant name, Wild Air. They have a wine bar.
Yeah, we know those guys well.
Yeah. So I worked with those guys a little bit for 12 days. We did 12 days of Christmas with them, and then we did an event at Charter Oak with them, I believe.
Yeah, we were supposed to go to Charter Oak before
shit.
everything happened, went crazy, but we turned it down because we were open Hestia, and then it just went mad.
Yeah, I have a chef mentor of mine who went to Hestia, and he said he had one of the most life-changing meals that he's ever had. So, I mean, and to come from him, I'm like, damn, like, because he understands, flavor like crazy. And I'm just like, to say that, I'm just like, I've never heard him say that ever. So,
there was this quote that I just sent to Tia, and I'm probably going to mess it up, but it was, There's restaurants that change their menu always to keep you excited. There's restaurants that never change, that you always want to go back to. And there's restaurants that when you eat in them, they change you. Okay. And like for us, like that's always what we're trying to do is a restaurant that has more of a relationship with you or has a meaning or something deeper. Like you may engage with that. You may just want to have a night out. But then if you're like really into what's happening, hopefully those throughways come through and you understand like what all the intention of those things are, because as opposed to the high volume places and things like that, like it's important to be profitable, of course, but I think it's more important for us to have ethics behind what we're doing, where we source, how we treat our people, how you feel in that. And there's just something that you can get in an energy of a space like that kind of doesn't exist if it's not there.
Understood. So Concord, Massachusetts, we'll go back there. What was your upbringing like?
Interesting. So I will say I always had really amazing parents, and both of them came from nothing and worked their way up. My dad ended up kind of getting me into the restaurant business early on, but my mom was really the massive breadwinner to go into this. And, she was the vice president of Polaroid. Worked her way through all this sort of stuff.
Crazy.
Was the first person ever to suggest and get maternity leave there. She was supposed to move us all to Paris to like run European Polaroid.
Yeah.
And she basically said, "No, I want to be a mom." And so she quit. Her and my father moved from. He was a dishwasher at the Ritz-Carlton. Worked all the way up to food and beverage manager.
Yeah.
And then took over a new property. And they both quit, moved to Tucson, Arizona when I was like almost 4.
Okay.
So kids still.
Yeah.
Couldn't find any work at all. Totally unemployed for a full year. Living off the savings, everything like that. But we spent a bunch of time together as a family. And what they've like always taught me was, similar to what we talked in the beginning, is like ideas are the value that you have in all these sort of things, because they both had nothing. And then, not that they were ever really like wealthy, but they were never wanting for a lot of things after, let's say, 27 or 28 or something like that.
Got you. Okay.
And had the confidence to like jump off those cliffs. Like imagine being a vice president in Polaroid, being offered to run all of Europe, and just leaving that for
just saying no, that's badass.
Yeah.
That's
gangster.
It's really amazing. That's gangster.
And it does speak to my mom. I think she's an incredibly powerful woman. And my father, today is actually the anniversary of his birthday. Yeah. He passed a couple of years ago. Okay. And he was like one of those men where when he passed, I think we had like a week before the funeral or whatnot, and 1,000 people came and flew all from across the country just to kind of like show the respect of like the impact that he had on their lives and stuff.
Wow,
like
that's
he's a mentor of mine too.
Okay,
good dude, man.
Just a straight leader.
Yeah.
Just a connector of people. I don't know. He was one of those guys where like, and this is a great tip if you ever go to Europe, do this sort of thing. Yeah. So he would like collect coins and all sorts of weird stuff, and so he'd go to Europe with like 10 American silver dollars in his pocket, in, like the 70s or something like that. And every kid that he'd run across in like, this small town, going to a restaurant or a winery or something like that, he'd give this silver dollar to this kid who would never travel to America, potentially never would. Yeah. And so it was something that was so meaningful to them, right? This traveler who just entered into their life and gave them this thing that, was really unique. Yeah. And he would bond with people across the entire world. He wouldn't even speak the same language as people. But they would recognize him and go through those things, and so wherever we would go, we'd have somebody set up. We'd be staying at somebody's house. Go through this. So you'd end up with these really amazing experiences.
Cool. Like were you when you were in school? Were you into sports? Anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, I was. I've always been driven. Like, so I was, captain of the football team, on student council, and all the AP class, all that kind of stuff. And I grew up in Tucson, which Tucson is, as we discussed earlier, an interesting place. So you're surrounded by gangs and drugs. Yeah. And, like you get into a lot of trouble. Yeah. Even if you don't want to. I've been stabbed. Okay. We were in way too many drive-bys by the time even high school was over. There was friends who would buy houses because of the drugs that they'd deal back in the day, and you'd go to their house on every Thursday and Friday because no parents were there, because 4 of them got together and they'd have AKs above their bed, and you'd be looking out the window if somebody come by, you'd know to get down, and like that was just high school. I honestly thought that was high school for everybody. Like, I didn't realize until I got out of the world, got out of Tucson a little bit, that I was like, yeah, man, isn't that crazy? Like, when all this shit's happening, everyone's like, no, that's not how it is.
It's not normal.
He's like, what?
And I went to a good high school.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we were like, on the south side.
It's the same in Connecticut.
It's
it's like you wouldn't think.
Yeah.
But there is.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I got into restaurants when I was 14. I was the opening dishwasher at like the restaurant Hudsonville Soul the Grill.
Gotcha. And that was just working there because of your parents.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad had me working from really.
I
was like 11, digging like city sewer lines and stuff like that. Oh yeah, for sure.
Dope.
He puts me to work real.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you fall in love with the kitchen right away, or are you just like, I'm a dishwasher, I go to high school, I do the thing?
No, I loved restaurants. I mean, probably for very different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a culture at that point where it's far older than you. So, there was still a lot of the stuff going on where, like, the servers were having sex with the cooks and, like, all sorts of, incestuous things that happen in old school restaurants.
Yeah.
Really restaurants in general. And as a kid in that, you're like, oh, wow, it's so fun. It's cash everywhere. It's late night parties.
Yeah.
So for all those reasons, it was why I really enjoyed it. And then, I went from being a dishwasher to being like a busser to being an expediter to being a cook. And Albert Hall was my first chef, who he was really nice to me, probably because I was also the owner's kid in that way, but he was also the kind of chef where, like, if you'd fuck up in the middle of service, he'd throw a glass at you or a plate at you or something like that. And really, really talented, and honestly really caring, too. And that was the thing we were talking about before, where there's this, like, element where there is this aggression and abrasion that happens in these environments that is really similar to sports.
Yeah.
Where, there's things that you end up forgiving, or you say, like, well, this is how this, person cares about me. It's also really similar to abusive relationships in those ways.
Yeah.
But, I look back at it as, he did care, and he was really talented and really great at those things. And he was also great to me. It was just watching the other people that went through these things. And he was not bad at that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But, there was just the times that went through things like that. So.
Yeah. This is one of the only industries where I feel like you actually have a relationship with the restaurant you're with. Like, that's your baby. That's, sometimes she's mad, sometimes she's, whatever, he, she, whatever it is. Right. And I feel like there's a lot of industries that have that passion, but, like, restaurant industries in special, especially has that kind of feeling, where it's like, it's you, it's your heart. Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is. Hospitality is very emotional. It's not a physical thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like you finish this menu and that's my hospitality contribution. Like, now we got to make this shit and prove that it's good.
Yeah, right.
And then somebody's looking across from you and being like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's so personal.
100%.
And or just opening the door with a smile, even if you're having a terrible day.
Yeah.
So you have to have a deeper, because it's not face value. It has to be deeper than just what's coming out of your mouth, and it has to be, or else you can't exist in this space.
Yeah. People can feel that.
Yes. Yeah. They know when it's real and when it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. We talk about this a lot, which is that if we want to be a space where people are professional, make careers, have families, live in this industry for a longer period of time. Because I used to say cooking was like being a professional athlete. And the fact that you were like, you had from 20 to 40, and if you're still cooking at 40,
you're fucked.
Yeah, your body's breaking down.
Yeah.
And then if you really think about it, you're probably not making enough money in between 20 and 40, so that you have to either be an owner or you have to be an executive chef where you're not really cooking, you're just teaching people. And then all the young kids are looking down at you like, you're MJ playing on the Wizards.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you don't got it anymore. What do you have to teach me?
Yep.
And there's a problem with that, right? The industry is consuming itself in that way. And so, trying to figure out what are the things that make what we do so special. Because the thing is, and this is what I preach too, is when I'm at a party, doctor, lawyer, tech person, everybody wants to talk about what we do. They don't want to talk about, hey, here's how I code. Here's how my law practice was that day. They want to talk